Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Sip and Out. If you're ever in the mood for treating yourself and your guests with a very special ingredient like scallops, but feel nervous about preparing them in your kitchen, you're in the right place. Today, I will show you exactly how you can cook them perfectly every single time. I will also be showing you a fun way of serving them with crispy prosciutto chips as well as the basil lemon cream. It's truly a party in one bite, so chill a bottle of your favorite drink and join me in the kitchen. We'll start with what takes the longest, which is the prosciutto chips. Now, if your grocery store has a deli counter, it would be best if you could ask for it to be sliced paper thin right there and then. But if you can only find pre-sliced packages, that should work as well. When you're ready to bake, preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Gently lay the prosciutto slices on a piece of parchment paper, making sure not to overlap the slices. Then place another piece of parchment directly on top of the prosciutto. Next, using scissors, cut them into thin strips together with both of the parchment attached. Now, I'm sure you've had bacon-wrapped scallops before, and while I love the combination of flavors, I'm rarely impressed with the texture of the dish at restaurants. Usually, the bacon is rubbery and undercooked, or the scallops are very dry and overcooked. And that is simply because these two ingredients require completely different cooking times. So my recipe solves this problem by cooking these items separately, but perfectly, and assembling them right before serving. And since I'm already splurging with these beautiful wild-caught diver scallops, I thought why not go a step further and use the prosciutto instead of bacon. Now this is where you can have a lot of fun with your creativity. Depending on how you want to present the dish at the end, you can cut them into any shape and bake them flat, or you can roll them up like I'm doing here, or bend it into a variety of different shapes. After you're done with the arts and crafts, bake them in the oven for about 20 minutes, then turn off the oven and let them dry out completely for an additional 10 minutes. While the prosciutto is baking, let's work on the lemon basil cream. There's nothing that screams summer more than a bunch of freshly picked basil from the garden. And I look forward to using it in a variety of different recipes every summer. After roughly chopping the basil leaves, you will also need to juice and zest a lemon and grate a small clove of garlic. Using a small food processor or blender, whip together all of the ingredients until creamy. As you can see, my favorite tool to use for this task is a coffee grinder, which I actually don't use for its original purpose anymore, but it works great. Keep this beautiful cream sauce in the fridge until right before serving. By this time, your prosciutto chips will be ready to come out of the oven, so carefully remove the parchment paper and let them cool completely. Depending on the thickness and the moisture content of your prosciutto, you may have to bake it a little longer until it gets crispy. If that's the case, put them back in the oven and try baking them at 350 degrees without the parchment for an additional 5 to 10 minutes. Now we're finally ready for the star of the show. Using a paper towel, pat dry both sides of the scallops, then lightly season with salt and pepper. We're not going to oil the pan, so instead lightly oil the scallops on both sides. And I'm using a spray oil for this. And that's simply it for prepping the scallops. But let's now open your windows and turn on that fan because you will have to deal with some smoke if you're cooking inside of the house. But if you happen to be able to cook outside using a portable stove or grill, that would be best so you don't have to worry about setting off your smoke alarm. Go ahead and heat the pan on medium-high until a drop of water evaporates almost immediately. When the pan is nice and hot, place your scallops a few pieces at a time with at least an inch apart from each other. I clearly messed up a little bit here, but it worked out at the end. Now the next step is very important. Keep the heat at medium-high and do not touch them for exactly 3 minutes. After the 3 minutes are up, turn them over and cook them for 2 minutes uncovered and untouched. And put a lid on for the last 1 minute. So it's basically 3 minutes on each side with a lid on only during the last minute of cooking. This, my friends, makes perfectly seared yet juicy and silky scallops every single time. Also, on a side note, I've tried making these on a cast iron skillet as well, and they turned out great, but it did create a lot more smoke than the stainless steel pan. For each of the remaining batches thereafter, wash the pan each time and repeat the process. Yes, it takes a little more effort, but for such an expensive and luxurious ingredient, it's so worth it. Once everything is ready, it's my favorite part of the recipe, the assembly and garnish. Your plate is your empty canvas, so have fun with the presentation. I hope you and your guests will enjoy these elegant yet simple appetizers at home. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more delicious recipes and cooking tips. As for my personal sipping suggestion for this recipe, I would have to keep up with the festive spirit and pour a glass of champagne. But of course, you do you. Thank you for joining me in the kitchen today. Cheers!